Hey everyone, have you ever tried to make a big change in your life, like eating healthier, exercising more, or finally decluttering your space, only to find yourself stuck in the same old patterns? It's so frustrating, right? We often know what we want to do, but actually doing it consistently feels like an uphill battle. Well, I recently dove into this incredible book, Better Than Before by Gretchen Rubin, and let me tell you, it's been a total game changer for understanding why we do what we do, and more importantly, how we can actually change. I picked up this book because I've always been fascinated by human nature and happiness, and Rubin, the author, shares that she was too, and kept noticing how often people's happiness or unhappiness was tied to their habits, like why could her friend be a track star in high school, never missing practice, but now struggle to go running at all? That simple question sparked her deep dive into habits, and what she discovered is truly profound. Her core argument, the absolute heart of the book, is that habits are the invisible architecture of our daily lives. Think about it, we repeat about 45% of our behavior almost daily, so our habits literally shape our existence and our future. If we change our habits, we change our lives. But here's the kicker, how do we actually change them? That's what this book aims to answer, and it turns out, it's not about a one-size-fits-all solution. One of the biggest takeaways, and something that really resonated with me, is that the most important thing is to know ourselves. We can't just copy what works for super productive people because we're all wired differently. This led Rubin to develop what she calls the four tendencies, which is this incredible framework for understanding how we respond to expectations, both the outer ones like work deadlines, and the inner ones like our personal New Year's resolutions. So which one are you? First, you have the upholders. These are the people who readily meet both outer and inner expectations. They thrive on schedules and to-do lists, and they don't like letting people down, including themselves. Rubin herself is an upholder, which explains why she finds it relatively easy to cultivate habits. They're basically rule followers for good or bad. Then there are the questioners. These folks question all expectations. They'll only mean an expectation if it makes sense to them, if it's justified by reason, logic, and fairness. They basically turn all outer expectations into inner ones, and they're really motivated by sound reasons. You can't just tell them do it, you have to explain why. Next, we have the obligers. This group readily meets outer expectations but really struggles with inner ones. They're motivated by external accountability. Think about that friend who can never get themselves to go to the gym unless they have a workout buddy, or join a book club so they have to read the book. Rubin's mother and sister are obligers, and this need for external accountability is crucial for them. And finally, the rebels. Oh, the rebels. They resist all expectations, both outer and inner. They act from a strong sense of choice and freedom, and they love to flout rules. Asking or telling a rebel to do something often makes them do the exact opposite. So for rebel, saying you have to form this habit is probably the fastest way to ensure they never do it. Instead, you frame it in terms of their choice and identity. Rubin shares that most people by a huge margin are either questioners or obligers. Upholders and rebels are actually quite rare. This self-knowledge, knowing your tendency, is foundational because it helps you choose strategies that actually work for you. Beyond the four tendencies, the book explores other distinctions that define us and influence our habits. Are you a lark morning person or an owl night person? Are you a marathoner who prefers a slow and steady pace, or a sprinter who works best in quick, intense bursts, often near a deadline? Are you an abstainer, like Rubin, who finds it easier to give something up completely, like those delicious Lamar's donuts she struggled with? Or a moderator who thrives on occasional indulgence? These are just a few examples, but they highlight that there's no right way to be, only your way. So once you know yourself, how do you actually make changes? Rubin breaks down a ton of strategies. She identifies four pillars of habits that are super important. One is monitoring. It sounds simple, but we manage what we monitor. Keeping track of your actions, like with a food journal or a pedometer, makes you more self-aware and strengthens your self-control. Rubin's sister, Elizabeth, who has type 1 diabetes, found a continuous glucose monitor invaluable because it showed her what she was really doing, not just what she thought she was doing. No more fooling yourself. Then there's foundation. This means tackling the big, obvious problems first, the habits that protect you from being too exhausted or frazzled to manage yourself. The four key foundation areas are sleep, physical activity, eating and drinking right, and uncluttering. She shares how cleaning out her friend Marshall's cluttered apartment, an uncluttered habit, might not have been a game changer for his writing as she initially thought, because for him, the clutter didn't bother him in the way it would bother her. It reminds us that first days first means first things first for us. Scheduling is another powerful pillar. As it's on the calendar, it happens. Cutting an activity at a specific, regular time makes it much more likely to become a habit. Ruben decided to make meditation a daily 5-minute habit, scheduling it right after waking up and getting dressed, which made it easier to stick to, even though she initially resisted it. And finally, accountability. This is huge, especially for the players who absolutely need external accountability. It means you face consequences for your actions, even if it's just knowing someone else is watching. It could be a workout partner, a deadline, or even publicly declaring your goals. Ruben's sister, Elizabeth, told her coworkers she was committed to eating healthfully at her new job, and that public declaration helped her resist office junk food. The sheer embarrassment of being seen eating a cupcake after her declaration became a powerful motivator. Now you might be thinking, what about willpower? Isn't it all about just having enough self-control? And that's a great question. Ruben points out that habits actually eliminate the need for self-control. When you're in the habit of doing something, you do it without thinking, without needing to resist temptation or postpone gratification. The real key to habits, she argues, is the lack of decision-making. You decide once, then you don't decide again. But what about those moments when you just suddenly change? Sometimes you're hit by a lightning bolt. This is when you encounter a new idea and suddenly a long-standing habit is replaced instantly, without preparation or wavering. It's not something you can just decide to do, it happens to you. Ruben experienced this herself when reading Gary Taubes' book, Why We Get Fat. Overnight, she changed her entire approach to food, adopting a low-carb diet. It was effortless because the new information fundamentally shifted her beliefs. She even tried to convert her father, who, as a questioner, needed the scientific research and data, not just a bolt. Ruben also dives into how we handle temptations and excuses. She introduces the idea of loophole spotting, which is hilariously relatable. We're masters at finding justifications to excuse ourselves from good habits. Just this once, she lists 10 common loopholes, like the moral licensing loophole where you think, I've been so good, I deserve a treat, or the tomorrow loophole, I'll start my diet tomorrow. So, it doesn't matter what I eat today. My personal favorite is the false choice loophole, where you frame two things in opposition that aren't necessarily in conflict, like I can't exercise, I'm too busy writing. Recognizing these mental tricks is the first step to stopping them. And speaking of treats, the book makes a crucial distinction between rewards and treats. Ruben argues that rewards can actually be dangerous for habit formation because they teach you that you wouldn't do the activity for its own sake, only for the external payoff. Plus, they often come with a finish line. Think about dieting for a wedding. Once the wedding is over, the motivation is gone, and the weight comes back. Instead, she advocates for treats, which are small pleasures you give yourself just because, not as something earned. Treats boost your self-command and make you feel energized and cared for, which supports good habits rather than undermining them. Finally, the book really emphasizes how other people influence our habits. Our health habits tend to merge with our partners over time, and we often pick up habits, good or bad, from those around us. A concept called goal contagion. Ruben shared how her husband, Jamie, unconsciously cut back on carbs just by being around her low-carb eating. It's a powerful reminder that we can't make people change, but when we change, others may change too. So what's the big takeaway for us today? This book makes it clear that building good habits is a continuous process, not a one-time fix. There's no magic formula, no finish line where you just arrive at your perfect self. Instead, it's about making consistent, reliable progress. It's about figuring out what truly works for you. not what works for everyone else. My advice after reading this is to start with self-knowledge. Take the time to understand your tendency, your natural distinctions. Are you a lark or an owl, an abstainer or a moderator? Then choose strategies that align with who you are. Don't fight your nature, work with it. And remember that the seemingly small everyday actions have a massive cumulative weight. They truly shape our destiny. Rubin ends the book by sharing how our young daughter, Eleanor, titled her sequel to Lost Horizons as Everyday Life in Utopia. And that's what this is all about. Isn't it? Our habits, these small daily choices, are the building blocks for creating our own version of everyday life in utopia. It's not about being perfect, but about being better than before. I highly recommend picking up Better Than Before. It's packed with personal stories and practical insights that will help you understand yourself and harness the power of habits to make meaningful changes in your own life. It really helps you choose the costs you want to pay, because every action, every habit has its consequences, and we get to choose for what we pay. It's all about making your life reflect your values.